mistake. Let us don't do any. I'm not reading on their parade.
Yes.
All the drugs that we have in circulation came from a plant
or the other.
or something. We saw so either a plant or an animal gave us. It was not as if somebody scratched his head and then realized that a chemical moiety can do something and then went ahead to produce. No, we saw the chemical in a plant. We were able to extract that chemical and then we were able to now produce that chemical. An example is insulin in treating diabetes. When insulin was discovered, it was seen we were using pork insulin. We were not, they couldn't harvest humans. We were using pork to do insulin. After that, we got to where we could use human insulin. Then we went from that to say, okay, we can actually synthesize insulin from the laboratories. So we now have all the vaccines now. You can say they say the acellular vaccination. Acellular vaccinations were developed. Do you know? They are not vaccinations that were developed by giving something. Usually we will give a horse or a sheep or a
to test.
Yes, we will give them the infection. Then we will give them the stuff. Then we take from them the immunity that they produce, and then we then go and harvest it and give it humans. But now we don't do that. What we do now is we actually develop the chemical. We can put the chemical in space and say, okay, how many carbons are here, how many hydrogens are here, how many oxygens are here, how many sulfurs are here.
Maybe proponents of this are always saying, look, these things have been around for centuries, right? And they worked at the time. But anyway, let me just say,
let me tell you what has been around for centuries.
Yes.
Walking.
Okay.
Walking has been around for millennia. And I can guarantee you that if somebody offers you the opportunity to walk to Lagos, you will decline. You will smile.
Oh, so that means you have to evolve.
You will evolve. Yes. So that's the only.
So they say they're trying to bridge the gap.
Let them bridge it.
Yes.
Let them bridge it.
Yes.
Let them collect all the data. Let them run with the data.
Appropriately, effectively used
and safe.
Yes, safe.
Because all the plants don't have they are not monochemicals. They are a combination of different. You see,
they are for different uses.
Most of the leaves that we take from plants, it is in the leaves and in the barks of the trees that the plants store their waste products. So that when the leaves drop off, it is the waste product that is gone.
Oh.
Yes.
So that's why it drops.
That's why it drops effortlessly for me. It's not as if so it's there. When they finish storing all the toxins,
that's why when you have a tree, back in the day, you'd
sweep it because to the trees,
you don't have that.
They are toxic chemicals, alkaloids. They are not no more useful. It's like somebody say you drink your urine. That's what it is to them.
Yeah.
So it is their urine that makes sense to us as humans, and then we're able to process it and extract. So all these ginkgo, even the anti-malarials that we're using now, from the days of chloroquine to the days of artemisonate and quinine, they have all were all developed from a plant, from different plants. I mean, quinine from the traditional West African Abo Bahia, and then the one in Thailand was the one that they gave them the artemisonate, and then like that, So really, we've gone all the way there. So if you say that you know that when we are treating schizophrenia, this herb and this root
combination
works as well as risperidone, okay, bring it on. Bring it on. Come out and say it. Oh, okay, it is prayers that you are going to use. Okay, so when this baby is coming, and then we realize that this baby is big, it's too big, we need to go and section. You say, no, don't worry. There's a way I can manipulate with words the birth canal, and the baby will come out. Oh, bring it on.
Anyway, doctor, that's what our topic for today. Let's wait to see what will come out from that.
Yes, let's hear what the WHO will say.
Yeah. So tuberculosis testing week.
Yes. This is the second time in Nigeria that they are doing this. This is the second time. What the purpose of this is to encourage people to test. Essentially, everybody here should test. Everybody in Africa, you see, because the Europeans, they set a standard for those who should test. The standard then include anybody migrating from TB endemic, and then they put Africa there.
So if you're traveling,
so you don't need to travel to there to do it here.
Part of the things
for your own sake. So do not be going around town be saying they don't write. You see, WHO says that 1/3 of the world population have latent tuberculosis. Latent means that you are infected, but your immunity is strong enough
to
suppress the tuberculosis, and then you are so okay. Now, let me say that among the things that have been with us for millennia, tuberculosis and leprosy. You see, anytime you see it, that is the biblical passages where they talk about leprosy. Yeah, once they talk about leprosy, it is this almost the same organ. The cousin of the organ of the pathogen that causes leprosy is the one that is causing tuberculosis. We've been with them, they've been with malaria, we've been brothers and sisters. I mean,
for many years.
Millennia. We're talking about BC here. BC, era of Moses.
Yes.
BC. So really, we've been, and it is a slow growing. It depends, it needs your immunity to be low. Once your immunity is low, it takes over. So if you are from Africa and you are living in Africa, go and test it. If you are working in the places where you are exposed to the possibility of a risk, go and test. When I define that, there are doctors, nurses, physiotherapists, lab scientists, auxiliary porters, or anybody working in any hospital that they are treating tuberculosis. You should go and test yourself. If you're working in prisons, go and test yourself. If you're an inmate, now this is supposed to go to the federal government. All the inmates of all the prisons, either federal or state, should be tested because they are enclosed together. They should be tested. If you are in a refugee camp, either as a worker in a refugee camp or either as an inmate, you should be tested. If you are living in a orphanage, all directors of orphanage, all managers of orphanage, whether private, government, church owned, mosque owned, whatever owned, please endeavor to arrange the tests. It is free. Anybody who lives in any enclosed area with lots of people, they have a chance of having tuberculosis. So go and test first. If you are living with somebody in your immediate environment that has tuberculosis, so maybe your dad, maybe your mom, maybe your cousin living with you, maybe your brother, tuberculosis. Now, it is not a genetical transmissible disease. So it's not as if your grandfather had it, then you can have it. You must be exposed, and then you must have low immunity after the exposure, or sometimes after the exposure, for you to then develop tuberculosis. So it's not as if your grandfather, you had a story that your grandfather had it. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about if your grandfather is still alive and he happens to have tuberculosis and you're living with him, go and get tested. In fact, in the hospital, if you go to any hospital, they test you and they say that you have tuberculosis. They will do what they call contact tracing, which involves tracing and getting in contact with all your household, all your co-workers, and everybody, so that they can be sure that it's only you that have it. Now, apart from living in enclosed areas, if you are HIV positive, please test. If you are diabetic, please test. If you have done organ transplant, that somebody had given you an organ, you are the recipient of an organ, and then you are taking drugs to suppress your immunity for the organ, then you are one of those people who are very low immunity. So you go and test because you might suddenly flare up. If you found out that you have lost a lot of weight, and people are telling you, why are your clothes loose on you? Why, if you found
not because you're doing Fit Farm.
We are not doing Fit Farm. Fit Farm does not work like that. It takes a long time for you to do that kind of weight loss.
Yeah.
Diseases are the ones that are the best Fit Farm. Diseases can fit you family very well. You know, if you realize this is the objective way of testing is look at the belt hole, the buckle hole that you are using, and then look at the one that you are using now. Have you been using one hole or two holes shorter? Yes, that means that you are losing weight. So go and once you change your buckle by one hole, go and check. Go and ask that they should check you. If you are the one that used to measure your weight on the weighing scale every morning, once you found out that you are 10% short, go and get it. If you're coughing and the cough is producing blood, that's the primary primary symptom of pulmonary tuberculosis: cough producing blood, and then weight loss, and then night sweat, and then a myriad of all the other symptoms will come in. There are myriads. Now, these are the problems of tuberculosis. Apart from the fact that Yorubas have a thing called jedo, abi called awugbe. So as you are coughing, you are just.
So that's an apt description of
yes. They saw it. You see, the Yorubas have a they like all scientists. They look at what you are doing, and then they name that thing
after it.
Yeah. So
they know it eats up your.
It eats you up. It eats your lungs, because the Yoruba's name for lung is edoforo. So it actually eats it complete. Just keeps.
So that's why I call jedo.
So they call it awugbe because no matter what you have, once you have the cough, you just start to lose weight. You will just bear. That's the whole point. There are different kind of cough. If you have the one that we treated the last time, diphtheria. Diphtheria has this thing in your neck. It takes over your neck completely. So they call it bofun. It's just your neck will just. The whooping one, we call it cough. So they call it malofe. And you see, if you look at the English naming system, whooping cough was named because after each cough, you will whoop. The sound that you make is the whoop. So they call it. So all humans, that's what we do. We name things according to how we think it is going to be. Unfortunately, sometimes we get it horribly wrong. A typical example is malaria. The English people came to West African coast and they found malaria in these marshlands, and they sincerely believe that it was caused by the bad air in the marshlands, and they didn't know about mosquitoes or about malaria or anything. They just believe that it's the air in the marshland that they are exposed to that is causing them to be sick, and they call that disease bad air, malaria.
Oh.
And so there came the word malaria. And so even now that we have found that the pathogen that is responsible is a plasmodium and the vector is the Anopheles mosquitoes, the malaria continue to be. I mean, we allow them to have named it for us like that. So tuberculosis of course, the tuberculosis itself is a name or derived from a Greek name that is akin to what the Yorubas were naming. They call jedo. I call awugbe. Yeah. Now, it can affect the brain. Now, sometimes it may not be cough. Sometimes when the cough progresses for a long time and you're not treating it, it then goes somewhere else. So, tuberculous meningitis, chorioretinitis, pericarditis, tuberculous abdomen, in which case the thing affects your abdomen, kidney, the gonads, the joints, and then the spine. So these are the areas where they've seen tuberculosis. They've seen it almost in every part of the body that exists. So it must be treated. Now, the treatment is straightforward. There are different versions. There are different protocols. There's one protocol which is the directly observed treatment shortcut protocol, but then it contains like 5 different strategies inside it.
So it is curable.
Oh, TB is curable. It's curable. Apart from the fact that we do vaccination, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put that under the DOTS protocol. Because now the first principle of the DOT protocol is the government's will. The political government must have it as a priority. Now, I do not know whether Nigeria does that, because part of what we're supposed to be discussing will be that the Abuja Declaration on Health, which involves spending more than a particular percentage of our gross GDP on our health is important. We have not been able to achieve that. We have not been able to achieve the health insurance that we want, either at national or at local or at state. We bungle that. So really, if they say government will, I will say, well, I give the people, can you judge? I do not think I will give them a pass mark here. So government must be able to say, we want it done. We want this settled. We want it a thing of the past, and we will establish, maybe the Belgians established the Damien Foundation. So you see, this is a will. The Americans did the presidential emergency fund for HIV, PEPFAR, and AIDS. You know, they did that. They did it in different steps. So
There's the National Council on HIV and AIDS.
There's a council. Have you provided the fund? Huh? There's a council.
They have funds every year.
To where?
Yearly budget allocation.
We hear you. Let's go to. Let's go into that kind of. I would have loved for us to bring one of the to say they are bring the books out. How much they went
Some
there.
of these people are your colleagues now.
They are not.
They are colleagues in the industry.
They are not
in the sector.
Because we are all humans does not mean that we are all.
They are not your colleagues.
People. Anybody can call themselves doctor and go around and be collecting, doing all the things that they want to do. Doing anything that they want to do. Now let's just hope. I'm happy now.
The experts.
I'm happy now that the new de facto Minister of Health in Nigeria, coordinating Minister of Health in Nigeria, is Dr. Ali Pate, who resigned from the Gavi to come here. So I mean, this thing, if he listens to what I'm saying now, he will just be marking it. He will say, that's a good boy there. He's a good student. He listened very well in school. We've
also had, dons in your sector. Being dons, doctor.
Look at all the federal hospitals in Nigeria.
Yes.
All.
Yes.
And then look at all the state hospitals in Nigeria.
Yes.
All. Which ones have been under non-doctors, non-senior doctors? Oftentimes, professors of medicine, professors, high senior.
So
which ones have
big names?
Which ones do you think you have gone to and you have said, "Oh yeah, this I can recommend"? Every time we look at our hospitals as doctors, some of us in private hospitals we cover our heads in shame because we look at our colleagues that are running government hospitals and then we ask the question. Will you run your father's hospital the way you are doing? Will you allow somebody to do this to your father's hospital?
So that means that Nigerians are the problem of Nigeria.
Yes. See, let me tell you,
the problem.
I don't know the problem of Nigeria. It's now complicated.
Because every time we say government, I mean,
complicated.
Because somebody's heading that agency, somebody's collecting money, collecting allocation every year.
Somebody is supposed to enforce.
Because there's a yearly budget.
Somebody is supposed to enforce, and the person that is supposed to enforce has failed enforcement. And once you fail enforcement, everybody just goes to the blues, man. That's what to do. Government must have a will, a policy direction towards this thing. We do not have a policy direction towards it. Apart from we want to eradicate it by the year 20. So we wanted to eradicate it at 20, Vision 2000. Yeah. We went for Vision 2000 to project 2010 to 2020. Now we are going to 2050.
But there's 2050 now.
The unfortunate part of this thing is that you just push the can, you kick the can downhill. We will get there. Somehow, when we get to one day, we will wake up in 2050. Those who are doing it in 2000, they believe that 2000, the year will end. There was millennium bug. Everything will end in 2000. So everything was comfortably pushed to 2000. So we are in 2000 and what now? 23 years after the millennium. The kids that they gave birth to at that time, they are now going out of school now, getting out of universities, marrying, becoming big boys on their own right now. So what are we? So 2050. We will get there. If you have kids now, 2050 is 22 years to now, to 2050. But the government has a way of, we will not be there. Maybe it's another government that will be there that time. So we can be writing letters to them.
Push the problem to them.
We can then be expert and then we're writing letters to them.
Telling them how to
tell them what we want, that kind of a thing. Apart from government policy direction, they must establish laboratories, standard laboratories. It is not about weak. You see, that's one of the things that really we should not condone as a people. So, are you saying that it is only in this week of August that you can go and do the testing, and it will be free? Is it down? Do you just have collected the testing kits, or what happened? Because there are 52 weeks in 2023. You've taken 1 week arbitrarily. What happened to the remaining 52? Because some people will not make the testing. Not because they don't want to get tested, but because they cannot just make the testing. Why? Work demand. They might be sick currently in hospital and they are on admission. They might be the ones primary health care of somebody. They might be. A lot of things might happen. The people who are administering the tests this week may not be able to administer the test on themselves. It is the same pattern that we see now, that we see with INEC. It is only when election comes that INEC says that you should come and register and get vote. Is it every day somebody becomes 18 in Nigeria? Every day in this country, somebody becomes 18. Why don't you just open the center everywhere in Nigeria? Once you are 18, take your birth certificate, take your relevant document, go to center XYZ, put your name there. It will be simple. Nigerians, I don't know, we don't like things simple. We like the aggregate. Maybe perhaps somebody is going to be benefiting from the crowdiness of the stuff. We're saying it does not have to be weekly. It doesn't have to be once a week in a year. It can be weekly all year round. And we just once in a while just make the jingles out and say, please remember that we are still doing this testing, blah, 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 blah. It will work. It will work better. That's number 2. Number 3, government must provide hospitals. Hospitals that can accommodate and treat all this. And I am assuming that most of our federal hospitals and state hospitals, yes, they are doing that, and primary healthcare centers. At least in that one, we will mark government and they have done well in that one. Apart from providing hospitals, government must provide what we call cold chain control. The drugs, now I'm going to put the vaccines inside the drugs now. The BCG vaccine is given at birth when you give birth to a baby. So you give in. And once you give the baby, it's supposed to provide lifelong immunity because you do not need to repeat it. Now, the BCG vaccines and some of the drugs that come, they will come to Lagos. They are supposed to, the Oyinbos that are bringing the drugs to Lagos, they will pack it in ice chests. They will bring it to Lagos. When it gets to Lagos, what's supposed to happen is that we're supposed to check it and then take it from that place, put it in our own ice chest, and then start driving from Lagos. Those buses, the trucks that will go to Kano will go to Kano. The ones that will come to Ibadan will come to Ibadan. The ones that are going to Ilorin will be going to Ilorin. That's what's supposed to happen. But what will happen is that somebody who's supposed to provide the ice chest will take the money. The ice chest will not be provided. So the cold chain will be lost. And the vaccines that we will get at the end of the day will be vaccines that just have the potency of water. And so we on our own then do ourselves the damage. So from get-go, so you're getting vaccines that are quarter potent or half potent. And the unfortunate part again is that the interval immunization schemes, in which case government will ask people to go around, go to town, go to everywhere, be doing immunization and all that. We have a problem with it. We need to monitor, we need to enforce those people, we need to be sure that they are doing what they are supposed to do. Unfortunately, we do not have the capacity to test for the antibodies in the human system, so that we can just say, you know what, go to the schools, test the antibodies, and then find out which ones, and then we can be able to look at it. But we don't have. Government must provide reporting, and they have done that. So the ones that the government have done, we will mark it that they have done it. They must provide reporting. Reporting as, if I have the disease in Bodija, how will that information get to Abuja? This is where you go and report. This is where you go and talk to. You fill this form. This form will be taken somewhere, and then somebody will take the form somewhere. There's a way it happens. Even when we have the disease in UCH with somebody with tuberculosis, we tend to go to the primary health center to go and report there, and then they send the information out. So they're doing that. Finally, there is the directly observed treatment of the drug. So if you have TB, they do not give you the drugs to take home. As long as you're in the hospital, they come and give it to you every day. But when you are discharged home, they will ask, where do you live? They will find the primary health center that is nearest to your home. That's where the drugs will go to. So you will then go from your house to that place. You will take the drug, because Nigerians cannot be trusted with this kind of a thing. If you give Nigerians the drug to go home, if you've done it before, drugs have been sold. Currently now, the intestinal treated net that is supposed to be for our, you will see the stamp on it, not for sale, UNICEF property, not for sale, WK property. It is in market. Don't let me call the market. It is in those markets now. They are selling it. Or if you don't let me say anything about that. But government must provide that, and they have provided the dots, so people have the access to it. this thing. If you have tuberculosis, you have to be treated for at least 6 months. 2 months of intensive, you take 4 drugs, and then 4 months of continuous, which you take 2 drugs. Do not, by the end of the 2nd month, you will be off the cough. The cough will have subsided, but you are not cured. If you then take the drugs and you take it for 2 months and you stop, there is a huge possibility, something that they call the multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. The multi-drug resistant tuberculosis, if you have it, you will be treated for like 2 years.
2 years.
Now there is an extreme drug resistance, in which case there is no known treatment for that. They've discovered it. What it does is that every time tuberculosis as the Mycobacterium tuberculosis, it will mutate. Once it mutates, the drugs will no longer be functional for it. And if you contact the MDR, you do not go to normal tuberculosis. You will start from MDR and get treated. So the best bet is get those who are being treated for tuberculosis to complete their treatment and be certified. You will be tested. You will do an X-ray. You will do a sputum test, and then now there is a gene expert test. You will be tested and certified that you do not have tuberculosis. Then that's when you are free to go. Now, smokers are liable to die young. Smokers, don't smoke. Don't smoke. If you smoke your lungs out. Now, TB attaches to a part of your lungs. Then you smoke the remaining out. There's a problem. There's a problem. They are the one that has gone to bring it. And smokers include active and passive smokers. In your area, you see somebody who has refused to pay for the waste maintenance agency to come and pack their refuse, and they now on one Saturday they now pack everything in one corner. They now light it, now they begin to burn it. So when you are passing, they are not doing you any favor. Do not be good neighbors to that point where you then be willingly smoking in your homes at the expense of somebody. Do a family meeting, a landlord meeting, a resident meeting, and tell him what he should do. It costs, I don't know how much it costs, 2,000, 3,000 to do.
It depends on your.
Yeah, so please do it, or ask him to be putting the refuse in your own
And you share the money.
and then you can be helping him out. Otherwise, don't be smoking. You are a smoker. That's what I'm trying to get at. You are a smoker. And if you use drugs, cocaine, heroin, loud, whatever they call it these days now, you are part of them, because that thing kills immunity. And then those of us who enjoy using cream, bleaching cream, steroid destroys immunity. You see where we see how we have been able to. So that's the reason why we feel that yes, this is a testing week, but we should bring back and we should begin to bind all the topics that we have treated individually, independently. We should bind them now. So cream usage, because I want to be yellow by force in Africa, smokers, drug users, chronic alcoholics. If you take alcohol for a long time, if you take alcohol to the point where you have big belly, it is your liver that is going. And once your liver is going, your immunity follows your liver. 3 things to ensure that we prevent tuberculosis. 1, the vaccination is important. At birth, get vaccinated. At birth, get vaccinated. There are no 2 ways about it. Do not follow the nonsense that was going around a while ago about that the vaccination can cause autism. It's just a bunch of nonsense. It's been roundly and thoroughly debunked. Roundly and thoroughly debunked. Vaccination is important. Good food is important to building immunity. Good food. When I say good food, I do not mean go to Sheraton to eat. I mean good food, eba and vegetable that has dry fish inside with locust beans inside with a dash of palm oil is a very wonderful food. Drink good water. You are safe. Eko with moi moi. Moi moi does not have to have 7 lives inside. The moi moi just needs to be moi moi. Only moi moi. You are safe.
You can add 2 lives.
If you like, add any life. I'm not saying that the basic requirement for
just
good food is the moi moi. Eat the moi moi. In fact, if you cannot afford any of those ones, just take rice and beans, boil together, put small oil. You are good to go. You are doing very well. So do not let anybody fool you. Lots of vegetables. When we say vegetables, I don't mean apple. I don't mean carrot. I don't mean watermelon. I don't mean agbalumo. I don't mean anything. I mean vegetable. Gure is vegetable. Pepper is vegetable. You can just do it in a small bowl and just take it. Don't go and be looking for people who are doing it on YouTube who are telling you to come and bring 50,000. I'm not asking you to bring 50,000. This thing it costs less than. Although we know that things are expensive now, but I'm talking about this is the basic that we should do. Eat well. Eat morning food well. Eat afternoon food well. Night food, make it a snack. So one eko and one moi, some akara balls and drink ogi. You can drink garri if you can afford to put groundnut. Put some small sugar, do it and go and sleep. Night food we found out is not important. Like that. You will just use it to get fat. So good food, vaccination, testing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Always amazing time with Doctor in the house, right on the B97.9 FM. Remember, good food, vaccination, get tested. That's the way to deal with tuberculosis. It's tuberculosis testing week. Don't wait till you want to jackpot before you go and get tested. Because that's what happens. Yes, you have no choice. You have to go and do it. So that's it. Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us. We're back next Thursday at 12 noon. Doctor in the house. Bye for now.